Welcome to Live Well, Dream Big. I'm Suzanne Monroe, founder of the International Association of Wellness Professionals, where I've been teaching people how to live a life of wellness, tap into their passion, and go for their dreams for over 15 years. I believe living well and dreaming big starts with ourselves. This podcast will show you how to create a healthy, holistic life, empower your mindset, follow your dreams, and make a big impact. Let's dive in right now. Welcome to Live Well, Dream Big. I'm excited for today's episode. Today's episode is a special type of episode, a read aloud, where I'm going to be reading aloud from my book, Live Well, Dream Big, the ultimate guide to becoming your best self and living life on your own terms. And I'm going to be sharing with you some actionable tips and tools as we go along. And really, I want to help you to avoid one of the biggest problems that I see people experiencing today: burnout. Burnout is on the rise. People are more stressed than ever. They're experiencing overwhelm and anxiety, and all of this is mounting and leading to burnout. Now, if you've heard my personal story before, then you know I'm speaking from personal experience here. So we're going to be diving into Wellness 360, which is included in this book, and we're going to be looking at the specific elements that make up Wellness 360 and applying it to burnout, so you can get on with living your best life, feeling more energized, and living well and dreaming big. So join me right now. Hi, everyone. Suzanne Monroe here. I'm excited to be doing a read aloud episode from my book, Live Well, Dream Big, the ultimate guide to becoming your best self and living life on your own terms. And I'm going to be diving into certain sections of the book. We're going to read aloud and have a conversation about how some of the tips in here can support you to overcoming burnout and getting out of stress and really taking charge of your own life and health so you can get on the path to reclaiming you. So today we're focused on the Wellness 360 element of rest. And by the way, if you're not familiar with Wellness 360 yet, you can get your own guidebook at iawpwellnesscoach.com/guide. This is where you'll not only get all the tips and things that we're talking about today, but your Wellness 360 wheel and roadmap and other tools to support you. And we're looking again at the element of rest, one of my favorite elements, and it's one of the 12 elements that make up Wellness 360. And now every element has 3 different layers to it. Okay, that's an important point. And the other important point is that all the elements, they don't act alone by themselves in a box. They're all interconnected. And when you begin to see this interconnection in your own life, then you can really start to make changes that are lasting changes and create transformation. So that's really what we're trying to do here. And we're focusing on burnout because it's one of the biggest problems that people face today. If no matter what is going on with your varying health challenges or stress, ultimately, when these things go unaddressed, they end up leading to burnout. And it's really one of the biggest problems that people are facing today. Instead, we want to get you on the path to living well and even dreaming big. So let's take a look at the element of rest. And when we think of resting, we often think of sleeping, right? That can include going to bed at night, or it might also include a midday nap. Generally, we all know that sleep affects the rest of our lives in major ways. And I'm sure you can relate to this. If you have a bad night's sleep, I know if I do, it feels like the whole next day is practically ruined. I'm just kind of in survival mode, right? But when you're sleeping well most nights, you're able to get more done. You just feel more energized. You feel more vibrant during the day. And if you're having issues getting quality sleep every night, you know you're going to really struggle to get through through your days, because we all know what that's like. It's pretty awful, as I was saying. So let's talk about the different layers of rest and how we can take a closer look at this. In Wellness 360, when we're talking about rest, we mean more than just sleep on this external layer, right? It is a starting point, but the idea is even bigger than that, right? It has to do with so many things that relates to sleep: the quality of our sleep, what time we're going to bed, how much sleep, quantity, quality, so many different things. And then on the internal layer, it's all about rest on the next level. So the internal layer of rest is all about self-care. Okay. Self-care practices, because it's how we take care of our own internal rest. Rest includes things like downtime and the ways that we intentionally slow down. It's all about taking time to enjoy a hobby, relaxing entertainment, restful activities. And it's about things that we can do to release our own stress, calm our bodies, and literally power down our minds for a while. which is super important in the world we're living in today, right? We can't escape the technology that's around us and the 24/7 interaction that's just right there. We have to consciously choose to turn it off and give our minds that rest and that break, because how our minds rest is how our bodies rest. And it's really how we end up feeling. It's huge. So, and then there's the symbolic layer. Rest represents receiving, which is an act of self care. When we ask for support or help or receive something from another person, we're actually loving ourselves. It can be hard to do if you're someone who's a natural caregiver, but I encourage you to try asking for support and notice how you feel. This is a big one for me. You'll hear my story maybe through other episodes that we've talked about this, but asking for support was something really hard for me to do. I was the person who said I can do it all and move out of the way, right? I was the breadwinner, the mother, the entrepreneur, the coach, so many different things. And it was really hard to get help from anybody because I felt that only I could do it best, right? But that is something that can also lead to burnout. So asking for support is an important first step, and it can be so hard to do, right? But I encourage you to try it, give it a try. Let's talk about some other tips with balancing this element so that you can avoid burnout. First of all, consider how you're sleeping. We've talked a little bit about this, but what kind of things can you do to make sleep easier for you? Drinking less caffeine during the day might be it. Turning off technology earlier and just enjoying some restful activities before bed. Those are all things that can help you sleep. Yet we just don't do it, right? We keep drinking the caffeine and we keep on the phone, and then we don't understand why we're not getting quality sleep. Give it a try a few of these things and see if there's an impact. And it may not happen on the first try, but your body needs to reset a little. Increase the time you do with self-care. We're never going to feel satisfied with our lives or be able to achieve our goals if we're running on empty. Self-care is worth prioritizing, so plug in as much self-care and rest time as you possibly can. Now you're thinking to yourself, well, who possibly has time to do that? Like take a bath or do something for themselves, right? Here's the thing. You do have time, but you're filling it up with other activities. And maybe those other activities are priorities or things you have to do. But I guarantee you, if you take a look at an entire week, and even if you have to write down every little thing you've done in a week or even a day, I bet you there's 1 or 2 time slots in there that you could eliminate by simply saying no. See, this ties into that symbolic layer of asking for support, which is receiving. And even saying no is a part of that, right? Because saying no means saying yes to ourselves sometimes. But yet, when we're the givers, we feel like we have to say yes to everyone and everything. Find one place where you can say no so you can say yes to yourself. And, this isn't selfish, even though it might feel like at first, if it's something you haven't done before, it's actually selfless. It's actually crucial and essential to you avoiding burnout and really living well, even though it can be really hard to do. And then pay attention to your energy levels. So, are you dragging all day long and then laying in bed awake at night? That is something that can happen, right? You're like, I'm so exhausted, but now you can't fall asleep. This is something to pay attention to. First of all, keep a journal to keep track of your energy levels, then compare it to other activities and the food you're even eating to discover patterns and correlations. So it's really important to see how your energy levels are doing throughout the day and what's going on. And then the fourth tip, which can help with this, is to do a Wellness 360 check. So if you have the guidebook or if you're in our program that supports with Burnout, Reclaiming You, or anything else, you can look at the Wellness 360 wheel, right? And there's 3 layers to every element, but here you can see the 12 elements. And what you want to do is, you can see rest there in red. You want to look at what else is going on here and see what other elements might be affecting rest. So for example, let's say finances. Let's say your finances are out of balance. Like you're very stressed about money right now. You're worried about your finances, or maybe you're somebody who's like overspending, maybe for a different reason. And you feel fine about it, but then all of a sudden you get in bed at night and you have kind of some anxiety about money, right? Well, that's going to impact your sleep because that's something that's happening in the element of finances. Now we can try to help you fix your sleep all day long, right? But if you don't address what's going on in the element of finances, it likely won't happen. So this interconnection is really important. Let's take another example. I'm going to choose Food, that's a good one. I mean, they're all interconnected. I'm just thinking of some examples off the top of my head. But again, if you're not eating well, if you're not eating foods that are supporting your health and giving you energy, it's going to impact your rest. Again, if you're having caffeine late in the day or eating something right before bed, right, that can impact your rest as well. Those are just some examples. What matters is you making that interconnection for yourself, because it's different for every person. And I want to share with you one story here, which is about Laura Albers, who went on a journey with the element of rest. And you can learn about Laura Albers' story, but she's got an amazing story about what happened to her and really how she kind of had this rock bottom moment where she had a lot of health challenges, and she was kind of a people pleaser and an overworker. And one day things did not go as planned. And she's really grateful for the challenges now as she looks back, because they forced her to finally make a change with her health and her life, and ultimately with her career. But what she discovered on this journey was self-care. It was like this missing piece for her. It was something she never really did. And she went on this self-care journey and went to the next level. And it was more than she could have ever imagined. So it's a great story. There's a lot here to take in about what happened to Laura and how self-care was important to her, and how she related rest to the rest of Wellness 360 and her journey. You can learn more about it in the guidebook, Live Well, Dream Big. And thanks for joining me for this episode on rest. I hope these tips were helpful. I always say go out, and if you don't do all the tips, just choose one thing to do next, right? It's those small shifts in life that matter, and that's what adds up to bigger changes. So pick one thing you're going to do next with the element of rest, and we'll see you back here next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining me for today's episode of Live Well, Dream Big. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation, and I want to invite you to take your next step toward living well and dreaming big by downloading the Live Well, Dream Big lifestyle book. It's the ultimate guide to becoming your best self and living life on your own terms. You can grab your complimentary copy by going to the link in the show notes or heading directly to iawpwellnesscoach.com/guide. That's iawpwellnesscoach.com/guide.